This article is from The Guardian, winner of the Pulitzer a couple of years ago. And I was a little bit surprised to see the conspiracy theories that they are promoting. I mean, it's literally astonishing. So they're not promoting it themselves, but they're giving a platform, as the leftists like to say, to a scientist who believes the Earth has a spirit. Unironically, he believes that the Earth has the spirit of Gaia, like a Captain Planet, and she summoned COVID in order to protect herself from humans. Man, it's so interesting writing at The Guardian, right? Because here on YouTube, I have terms of service of what I can and can't say. Pushing misinformation is a big no-no. But apparently on The Guardian, you can push whatever shit you want. Like, if you're a crazy person, become a leftist. And then you can say whatever you want, including the fact that the Earth is trying to kill grandma. You know, the Earth isn't strong enough because here in Romania we have a strong government, and the government protects us from the wrath of Gaia. The government tells us to social distance, to wear a mask, and to get vaccinated, and then Gaia is powerless. There is nothing that Gaia can do anymore. I have faith in the government to protect me. Honestly, I don't even know if I should joke about this. Like, how do you get to push something like this in a prestigious publication? So look at this. Like, COVID may have well been, I love the weasel words, may well have been, because even the doctor knows he's full of shit. Like, COVID may well have been one attempt by the Earth to protect itself. Gaia will try harder next time with something even nastier. Gaia is nasty. He nasty. He's doing the nasty thing. I don't know if it's too late for humanity to avert a climate catastrophe, but I'm sure there is no chance if we continue to treat the global heating and the destruction of nature as separate problems. That is the wrong-head approach of the United Nations, which is about to stage one of the big global conference for the climate in Glasgow after having another conference of biodiversity in Kunming. I have absolutely no faith that the UN is going to fix shit. If you look at the carbon spikes in Glasgow and Kunming for the week where you had this conference, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a major spike. So all the people that are supposed to help us to fight climate change, they took planes, like private jets, to go there in a room filled with air conditioning, and they gorged themselves on the taxpayer money that provided them with meat, alcohol, and other expenses. So while we need to sit here, eat less meat, don't consume air conditioning, walk if you want to travel, you have people that are flying with jets and they're like, oh, we're going to protect the peasantry from global climate change. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Get the fuck out. You know, it's kind of fascinating because what I think they're trying to do here is to, like you know how you have intersectionality when it comes to oppressions, like various people may be oppressed for various reasons. But like if you're a gay person, you're oppressed because you're gay, and if you also happen to be a woman, you can be oppressed because you're a woman. But if you're a gay woman, you reach the intersectionality, the crossroads of the oppression. So that's what they're trying to do, right? It's the same with the fear. If you're afraid of COVID, now you can also be afraid of this thing, and it's at the intersection of fear. Like, be afraid. This is the vibe that I'm getting from this article. It's fear, it's doom, it's gloom, it's radiating from the monitor. Wants to keep my heart racing so that I click more, so that I follow more from them. God, it's so disgusting, honestly. Like, why can't we just have a rational conversation like adults? What happened to that? Was that even on the table at some place in human history where people could just talk with each other rather than try to frighten each other and censor each other and make sure that one side doesn't get to speak while the other side is 100% on the megaphone? So look at this. Almost 60 years ago, I suggested our planet self-regulated like a living organism. I called this the Gaia theory and was later joined by biologist Lynn Margulis, who also espoused this idea. Both of us were roundly criticized by the scientists in academia. Yeah, because what you're doing is not scientific. Do you know what science is? Fun fact, like most people worship the science, but they don't know what science is. Science is the application of the scientific theory. The scientific theory means that you have a hypothesis, and in your case is that Earth has a spirit. Then you need to think of an experiment on how to prove that the Earth has a spirit. I don't know, like try to exorcise it or something, like get a priest to perform exorcism on Gaia so we can see if the spirit leaves the body. Maybe get a succubus to have sex with the earth so we can see if it can drain the spirit. I don't know, like some experiment that you can think of in order to prove that there is a spirit. And then you have the conclusion. So you prove the experiment, you forward the data, and then other people try to replicate your experiment. And if they can replicate it, then it's scientific. So this is why you got laughed at from the academia. Because what you're doing is philosophy. It has absolutely nothing to do with the science. I was an outsider, an independent scientist, and the mainstream view was that the neo-Darwinist, one of that life adapts to the environment, not that the relationship also works in the other direction, as we argued. In the years since, we have seen just how much life, especially human life, can affect the environment. 2 genocidal acts suffocating by greenhouses and the clearance of the rainforest. I don't think like at any point scientists argued that humans cannot affect the environment. I mean, this is straw manning. I don't think there is a single scientist on Earth worth his salt that would say humans cannot affect the environment. So because subjects like astronomy, geology, and meteorology are taught separately in schools and university, few people are aware of the natural forces affecting the Earth's surface temperature. What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, you can't open the television nowadays without hearing about the climate. There are green parties in Europe that win elections. I mean, there was a green wave in the European Union last elections. It's incredibly mainstream. Everyone knows about it. It's getting to the point where I'm pretty sure people who don't think that this is the case will be censored. So what on earth is he talking about? He's acting like this is the 50s or something. For billions of years, the Earth's surface temperature had been determined mainly by the radiating heat coming from the sun. This energy increased over time because it is the nature of stars like the sun to increase their heat output as they grow older, but temperatures on Earth remained relatively stable thanks to Gaia. No, seriously, like this guy is religious. But he doesn't like Christianity, so he created Gaia. Forests, oceans, and other elements in the Earth's regulatory system, which keep the surface temperature fairly constant and near optimal for life. Okay, but that has nothing to do with Gaia. Alright, like my house isn't a spirit. Just because my house has walls and insulation doesn't mean that the spirit of my house is protecting me from the cold weather outside. I mean, if I were to say something like this, people would look at me as a crazy person. But that's why I'm not a professor. If I was a professor in academia, then everyone would clap. The global warming that concerns all of us and which will be discussed at this week in Glasgow includes a great deal of extra heating that comes as a consequence of extracting and burning fossil fuels. By the way, fun fact, the Romanian president actually said that Romania lowered its carbon emissions by a great deal during communism. Do you know why we lowered our carbon emissions by a great deal during communism? Because we built a nuclear power plant. Shh. The amount of global warming depends hugely on the properties of water. When cold ice forms, okay, blah, blah, blah. Much of the confusion over global heating comes because of the huge quantities of heat. Try an ice cube in your boiling tea. All right, tell me more about Gaia, because that's why I wanted to read this article. So, my fellow humans, all right, here we go. We must learn to live in partnership with the Earth. Otherwise, the rest of creation will, as part of Gaia, unconsciously move the Earth to a new state in which humans may no longer be welcome. The virus, COVID-19, may well have been one negative feedback. What the fuck are you talking about? So no, like, first of all, he goes on and he explains how the carbon is hitting the Earth and blah, blah, blah. And then he talks about how, okay, the weather is becoming bad. And then it's like, COVID. There's even a Romanian expression for this. What does the mayor stamp have to do with the cow's ass? Because I really don't understand. Exactly, like what? How did they even connect it? It's just to fearmonger. It's to pass from one crisis to the next, to keep people afraid, and to keep them clicking on the Guardian. Shame on you. Prove me Gaia. If you can't prove me Gaia, then this is misinformation. And by the way, like, I get what this guy is doing, right? Like he is, I guess, incapable of creating his own paper, so he needs to publish something. So instead, it's like, all right, so we have the established science, which says that the oceans and the forests and all of that are helping to regulate the Earth's temperature, which is true. But he comes up with the new concepts like, what if Earth has a spirit and the forests are tied to the Earth's spirit? I mean, I guess that's an interesting philosophical take, but you need the scientific theory to prove it. Because otherwise it's not science. Otherwise it's bullshit. And by the way, did you notice how The Guardian does things? Like, usually you have the scientific consensus. And when it's something that doesn't have the scientific consensus, they bring like some crackpot guy, which probably published a paper in order to achieve his medical profession and didn't have any talent, so he created some bullshit. Why is this guy being given a platform? Like, why do we listen to this guy? The only reason is because he's trying to connect COVID with global warming. That's it. Because if you follow the environmental activists online, they had such a huge boner when we were under lockdown and the economy got shut down. I mean, they were really excited about that. They don't care about the rise in depression, the rise in the suicide rate, all of it. No. They were really happy. And they even coined the term climate lockdown. Like, Google it, and it's a thing. And I think like this is what The Guardian is trying to allude people to. Like, is they're trying to prime people, which is a marketing tactic. You say something before you actually do it, so you're priming the target audience to what you're about to do. Horrible. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'll see you there.